Hello, art students. In our class today, we are going to practice how to answer an unseen question. An unseen question is a question about a piece of art you've never learned about. And you get 20 points in your bagrut for solving this question right. So it's really worth it learning how to answer these questions correctly. And as long as you can back up your answer, there's really no right or wrong answer. So let's start with this piece. It's A Coffee Shop from Inside by Vincent van Gogh from 1888, and it appeared in a bagrut a few years ago. And this is the question. In image number 2 appears Vincent van Gogh's painting Coffee Shop from Inside. In a letter to his brother, Vincent writes, I wanted to portray the idea that a coffee house is a place a person can destroy himself or lose his mind or create a crime. Explain his agenda behind the painting. Why did he paint this? And explain using 3 art elements that appear in the painting how this idea comes across. So, the first thing we're going to do is understand what the bagrut question wants us to do. So why he painted this painting, we're going to look at the letter he wrote to his brother, which could be a clue, to portray the coffee house as a place where a person can lose his mind. So we're going to look for elements, 3 art elements, that portray this idea of unsettledness, a place where a person can lose his mind. So the 3 elements we're going to be looking at is color, texture, and composition. So let's go ahead. In our color theory, we learned about our 3 primary colors, yellow, blue, and red. When we mix red and blue, we'll get violet, a purple, secondary color. When we mix yellow and red, we're going to get orange, another secondary color. And when we mix yellow and blue, we're going to get green, another secondary color. Now we learned that when we mix green and red, paint with green and red, we're actually painting with complementary colors, which means I'm looking at 2 colors, but I'm experiencing 3 because green is made out of yellow and blue. So when I look at green and yellow, I'm actually looking at all 3 colors together. And when I look at blue and orange, I'm also looking at 3 colors actually because orange is a mixture of yellow and red. And so orange complements blue. And the same thing with yellow and purple. Yellow complements blue. The thing is, when we look at these complementary colors, they create different experiences in our eyes. For example, when I look at the combination of blue and orange, there's something very calming about it. There's something very settling about it. I also see yellow in the painting, and this yellow and blue creates green, the combination of green. So there's something very harmonious about it. I see the orange complementing the blue, and then the yellow with that green inside of it. And if we go back to our color, we see that all these colors are next to each other. That blue, the green inside the flowers, the yellow, and the orange. I have all this rainbow of colors in the painting of the sunflower. Whereas in the coffee shop, I see something completely different. The red complements the green, but there's a lot of orange and yellow in the bottom half of the painting, which causes a very unsettling feeling and a very unharmonious feeling. So the combination of the green and the red is complementary, but there's something very harsh about it to the eye. There's nothing harmonious about it. There's nothing bringing us through the red through the purples and blues to the greens. It's all those harsh, warm colors of red and then orange and then yellow and then green. It's a very unsettling feeling. Whereas here in this painting, you see there's orange and blue. Again, like with the sunflowers and the yellow and green, that has a more settling effect on the eye. So already, just from the color theory, we see how Vincent van Gogh is taking us towards an unsettling feeling in the painting. The second element we're going to be talking about in the painting that creates that unsettling feeling is the texture of the brushstroke. So when I have a very textured brushstroke, which is called impesto, I create a lot of emotion, and I think that's what Vincent van Gogh is trying to create. A lot of emotion, unsettling place, a place where someone can create a crime, and a crime is usually created when someone is very emotional. So if we zoom into the painting, we can see a lot of texture. We can see the brush strokes, the very emotional brush strokes in this painting. And the brush strokes are something that comes back in Vincent van Gogh's art. We see it's very impasto throughout his works, and we can really see the brush strokes. He's almost sculpting with the paint. The third element which creates that dynamic feeling, the unsettling feeling, is the composition. So, a composition is the way the elements in the painting are organized in relation to the painting's frame. So we see there's a diagonal going through this painting, drawing us in, whereas here we see the central focal point in the middle. There's something drawing us in, but it doesn't go on a diagonal across the painting like this billiard table takes us. There's a much sharper diagonal over here. And this composition is called a dynamic composition. So let's go back to our compositions. This is a great opportunity to learn about different types of composition. In art, you may come across a few types of composition: a symmetrical composition, a balanced composition, a coincidental composition, an open composition, a closed composition, a dynamic composition, like in our case, a central composition, and a pyramid composition. So let's go through the different compositions and learn them by using examples from the art history. So of course the first type of composition we're going to use is the dynamic composition, because that's what appears in Vincent van Gogh's piece. And a dynamic composition creates a lot of movement in the composition, in the organization of the elements, and we see that diagonal right over here. And how appropriate for a swing, a person swinging, creating that dynamic feeling, and her little shoe flew off her foot, which even elevates the sense of dynamic feeling in the painting. And here we see another nude figure descending the stairs, so we see a sharp diagonal throughout the painting, creating that feeling of movement. And that's what we also see in the coffee shop, an unsettling feeling. Here we have a great example of two compositions. Again, same subject. One is on a diagonal, Napoleon crossing the Alps. Look at how his hand is pointing. The whole horse creates this diagonal movement. Something's going forward, something's happening. There's an unsettled feeling. And look at that horizontal composition. The horse seems to be walking, but there's almost no sense of movement. It's almost even static, just unmoving. And it's the same subject, Napoleon crossing the Alps. And the only reason there's no feeling of movement is because of the composition, the way the subject is organized inside the frame. So let's just go through a few more types of compositions. It's a great opportunity to go over this material. We have our symmetrical composition. A symmetrical composition, very simply, is a composition that mirrors each other. You see the mirror image on each side is symmetrical, and this will appear a lot in Jewish art. And on the contrary, we see a coincidental composition. So here we see the Tower of Babylon being built. This is a mosaic. They're both mosaics from the floors of synagogues found in the Galilee in the 4th century. And in the composition of the Tower of Babylon, how appropriate that it's a coincidental composition, a haphazard composition, right? Because this whole story of the Tower of Babylon is talking about something that, fell apart and didn't work and was a mess. From the same synagogue in Hokuk in the Galilee from the 4th century, we see more haphazard compositions. For example, the animals arriving at Noah's Ark, which is so appropriate for that kind of composition because, no one organized the animals. They just came coincidentally, haphazardly to the Ark. And we also see this in the story of Yonah being swallowed by the fish. And we see it's like a haphazard composition. There isn't a central, it's not symmetrical, it's cut off. It just, the way the artist fit it in, almost as if it was a coincidence that the fish was on this side and not on that side. So let's go over a few more types of composition. For example, in this painting of Amélie Matisse, we see an open composition. An open composition is when I can imagine how the picture continues beyond the frame. So I see the chair is cut off, and the window is cut off, and the room is cut off. Even her skirt is almost a little cut off, and the table for sure. And I can imagine the way this picture continues outside of the frame. Whereas this is such a closed composition of Madame Recamier, painted by Jacques-Louis David. And, the subject's all here. That's it. What you see is what you get. It's not cut off. It's all inside. It's closed composition. So there's nothing happening outside the frame of the painting. I would definitely say this is a central composition because here's your subject, smack in the middle. This is a central composition. It's not hiding anything. It's not trying to be, too complicated. The subject is this goldfish bowl, and that's it. It's a central composition. For example, this is a very balanced composition. The green complements the red from color theory, and we see also the colors in the middle are trying to balance each other out. There's a balance in the face, in the colors. We're going to see it happening over and over, the purple and the yellow, the green and the red. Matisse is always looking for a way to find balance in his composition. And finally, we have a pyramid composition, which is exactly what it sounds like. So the main subject is going to be on the line of the horizon. So here's the line of the horizon. It's on the top third of the painting. I see his head, the head of the subject. That's my main subject. And also here, we see the two main characters of the show. On the horizon, the top third part of the composition, and they're shaped as a pyramid. So that was pretty straightforward. So back to our painting. I think we answered our question. The meaning or the motive the artist had, Vincent van Gogh had to paint this painting, is to create the sense or to show how the inside of a coffee shop could be somewhere where a person can get drunk, lose all his money playing billiard and gambling, go out of his mind or create a crime. And he achieves this by 3 artistic elements, which are the color theory, the green and the red, which are complementary colors that create a dissonance and unharmonized feeling, the impasto, the textured brush strokes, which create a lot of emotion and complement this feeling of, going out of your mind. And of course, the diagonal, which is the composition, the dynamic composition, which creates an unsettling feeling in the painting. So what I'd love for you to do is answer this question and email it to me in your words, so I can check it and see that you can really get all the 20 points that you can get on the bagrut. Good luck!